holding my breath and I'm ready to go. I'm falling right in and I'm ready to go. I found what I want and I know that we're on top, so I'll tap in and I'm ready to work.
Broadcasting from Central Kentucky, the headquarters of the Dr. My Budget podcast, where we discuss how to grow your personal wealth without having a major impact on your current lifestyle. Here is your host, Dr. Dan, the Finance Man.
Welcome, everyone. Today is June the 12th, and I'm your host, Dr. Dan, the Finance Man. I am so excited to get into the episode, but let's take care of a little housekeeping issues first. Today's episode is sponsored by Nexum Mortgage, NMLS ID 2296654. If you're thinking about buying or selling your home anywhere in the country, we've got a team of professionals in both the real estate and the mortgage side standing by, ready to assist you. To learn more, you can reach us at drdan@drmybudget.com. And as always, you can reach out to us by call or text on the Make Kentucky Home Group at eXp Realty phone line at 859-429-0552. Let's dive in. My guest today has almost 30 years experience as a lender and almost 25 years as a realtor. He built the fastest growing exit realty franchise in their history, and now he runs an international team of agents across 48 states, all provinces in Canada, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and Portugal. He has developed some tools that provides real estate agents with more business than they can handle, multiple options for consumers looking to sell or buy their next home, and I cannot wait to hear the wisdom he has to share on the show. Please welcome my friend, Mr. Bob Mangold.
Hey, Daniel, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You are welcome, sir. So for those that don't know, who's Bob Mangold?
Well, you did a pretty good job of explaining it there. I accidentally got into the real estate and mortgage business. I actually started on the mortgage side 32 years ago. Sad to admit, but true. I started as a lender. And I quite honestly, the reason I got involved in the real estate side is I got frustrated with real estate agents who I could hand them pre-approved leads, and all they had to do was go out and find the house for the buyer, and they still wouldn't do it. So I said, well, the heck with that. I'll go get a real estate license. Honestly, my whole goal was to take and bring a team aboard and let them work the leads, which is what I did. And then ultimately formed a team. We got up to, 12 agents. And then I bought a couple of exit realty franchises. And so built that very, very quickly and realized why they called them brokers, right? So my monthly overhead was $116,000 a month before we closed anything. So obviously, if we didn't close enough business, guess who wrote that check? So I learned very early on in that process that, that wasn't my best way to build wealth. And so I made that switch, but I've always been good at lead generation, but most importantly, lead conversion, because let's be honest, you could have a database of 10,000 people that you qualify as leads, but if you can't turn them into business, who cares, right? And the number one reason that I find that most people can't convert them into business is they don't have a reason that they can give people to hire them, right? They haven't identified what value do you bring to them, right? They got their pick of agents. There's 1.6 million realtors, 2 million real estate agents in the United States alone. So just sitting there going, hey, I'm Bob, come and work with me, that just doesn't cut it. And then people want to go, yeah, but I'm a multi-million-dollar producer and I do this and I do that. And aren't I wonderful? And my company does this. And at the end of the day, you didn't answer the number one question, which is, well, what benefit do I get if I work with you? I don't really care about what you've done in the past. What are you going to do for me?
And that leads me into my next question, because I've heard your answer on this and I love the answer. So what is the one thing that sets you apart from all the other agents that are out there in your area?
It's very simple. And the faster you can say these things, the better it is. What I do is I help people get rich using their primary residence and real estate. And I can do that in about 10 years or less.
I love that answer. Tell me more.
Right. So when people bump into you on the elevator and they go, so what do you do? I go, I make people rich. And what's the natural question, right? That totally sets them back. Then what's the natural question? Well, wow, how do you do that? Well, do you own a home? Yes, I do. Great. That's how I do it. They go, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, it'd take me a little bit too long on the elevator to do that with you. But if you got 15 minutes, hey, I'd love to jump on a phone or a Zoom meeting with you. And then I walk them through that. And so the concept of that is very simple. Real estate's the number one asset that creates more wealth for people in the United States, really in the world, than any other asset. Now, you may get lucky and, you may buy an NVIDIA stock, when it was in its infancy and all that. So I'm not saying that it can't happen. But for the majority of people, they build their wealth through real estate. The problem is, as a real estate or even a mortgage practitioner, we don't do anything to help them, right? So if you think about it, when I go to sell your house, what am I going to do? I'm going to take 6% of your equity. Well, how is that helpful? And so at the end of the day, the question becomes, what is it that I do that helps you maximize that equity? And the way that we do that is we focus on the loan side. So what I'm able to take and do, and quite honestly, I created this process almost 30 years ago, but it's really a function of taking and helping people use a 30-year mortgage to buy the property, right? Keeps their payment low and pay it off in 10 years or less. Now, there's a whole process, would take me an hour to go through it and how we do that. But at the end of the day, that's what we do. And so we just did an open house, or my son did, on a $700,000 house. If they followed the structure that we would set up for them, they would have the house paid off in 9.4 years, and they would save $327,000 in interest. Now, the way that I explain that, I go, Daniel, now when we work together, there's really two options. I can have that money go to the bank, which is what every other realtor and lender is going to have you do, or I can put that money in your pocket. Which would you prefer?
Well,
no,
obviously, that's a
yeah. Nobody's ever going to say no. Give it to the bank. And so at the end of the day, now I have the ability to sit there and say, hey, it'll take me about 20 minutes or so. Why don't we schedule a 30-minute Zoom call? Let me get a little bit of information on you, a little bit of financial background, and let's see what we could put together for you. And that's really how we take and do that. And then we actually have to back that up, right? We have to be able to show them how to do it. The problem is most agents and lenders never focus on the dollars that we pay. So everybody right now is all hung up on the interest rates, right? Oh my God, they're at 7%. And yes, I could tell you, yes, my first house was a 14.5% FHA adjustable rate. And I'll just go, yeah, you were old and stupid, whatever. But it's a different perspective. I remember, 10, 12 years ago, people could get a 7% rate and they were happy. But we just have to adapt to that right now. People mentally aren't there. They're at 3%. The problem is that we focus on the wrong thing. You're focused on that note rate. Here's what we know statistically as an industry. The average loan is held for 5.4 years. And the only reason it's that long right now, because we have loans sitting out there at 2.5 to 3%. So the loan stays in place for 5.4 years and we move every 8 years and 2 months. So the reality is you're not going to keep a 30-year note for 30 years. So why do you worry about the note rate? The problem is people don't understand that when you borrow money, let's call it $400,000. In today's environment, you're going to pay about $350,000 to $400,000 in interest. So you borrowed $4, let's just say you pay $4 back. You paid $800,000 for that loan. What if I show you how to take, instead of, you got to still pay your $400,000 back, but what if I show you how to pay $150,000 instead of $400,000 or $350,000? Well, that's money that goes directly into your pocket. And with that money, we can then redirect it into retirement plans, funding, could be investing in real estate, but to take and use money that you were going to pay to the bank and go fund $1 million retirement plan. And that's just saying, hey, when I say fund a $1 million retirement plan, I'm just saying, hey, right now in this environment, if you threw money into an account at 5%, which you can get through treasury bills, about as safe as we can get, at 5%, you can easily accumulate $1 million in the same 30-year period. So when people work with us, we give them a pretty simple choice. You can buy this house, pay it off in 30 years, live the American dream. Forget that very few people do that, but that's the American dream, right? Or you could buy that house through me and we'll have it paid off in 10 years. So you'll have a house that's free and clear and about $1.1 million in the bank at the end of 30 years. Which one of them is going to work better for you and your family?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer answer, right?
Yes, it
is.
And
so when you ask questions, you have to ask questions where you know what the answer is going to be in advance. And it's simply a function of understanding how financing works. And the thing that I find most amusing is I teach across the country and I speak and I do different classes. I always hear agents go, I don't want to know about that financing. You don't want to know about it, but the customer does. I actually just seen a survey. I think it was either Realtor.com or CoreLogic. I don't remember. 77% of the consumers expect their real estate agent to be able to help explain financing to them. Yet real estate agents go, I don't want to know anything about it. Well, 3/4 of your clients want direction from you, and you're saying, I don't want any part of it. The likelihood of you getting hired is just remote now, right? So we have to think about what value are we actually bringing to that consumer? Because, well, let's face it, if you're a buyer's agent, it's pretty simple to show a house, right? You open the door, they like it or they don't. That's really it. People go, I sell houses. I don't believe that. You can't make me buy a $2, $3, $4, $500,000 asset that I hate. That would be sales. You open a door and either I like it or I don't. So the question becomes, is your value proposition, hey, I can open doors for you? If it is, good luck getting business. And so we have to think deeper than this. And what advice are we giving people? How do we actually impact their life? Right? If we say, hey, I'm going to sell their house. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, my very first priority is to preserve the maximum amount of your equity as possible. Because when you close, I want you to net the most amount of money possible, because that's going to give us some financial options on how you finance that house and how you build a retirement income. So my first priority is to maximize your equity. And I do that through getting the highest possible price. It's only going to take me 14 days, and you only pay half the cost of a traditional, or I call it old-fashioned, I don't use the word traditional, of an old-fashioned transaction, right? Because traditions sound nice, right? Thanksgiving is a tradition. Christmas, tradition. Well, it's not a tradition. It's the old-fashioned way of doing things. And so at the end of the day, we've got to take and provide value. And so here's the challenge I would give you. It's called the stadium pitch. And I got this from a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. And what it was is, let's say I fill up a stadium with 50,000 people. And I go, Daniel, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to speak to the crowd and tell them why they should work with you. They're all buyers, potential buyers, sellers, or investors. And you got 30 seconds to convince them. And I've also given them the instruction that if they don't like what you have to say, they can just get up and leave. Doesn't matter. We won't take it as being rude. Just leave. And oh, by the way, I invited 9 other agents. So there's 10 of you that have 30 seconds to pitch people on why they would work with you instead of the other agents. Go. And all of a sudden people go, what? Well, I've been in the business for 30 years. Great. I got 32. I beat you. Well, I've lived in the valley. I've lived in this area for my whole life. Yeah, me too. Right? Well, I sold $5 million last year. Great. I sold 50 million. Right? So what's different and unique about you in that position, right? In talking to those people that they're going to take and want to work with you. And so one of the very first steps I work with when I coach people is, what's your value statement? Figure out the stadium pitch, because then we can build marketing around that. And whatever that's going to be, mine's a pretty good one, but people can come up with their own. But at the end of the day, you've got to answer a very simple question. Why would they want to work with you? What benefit do you bring to them? Don't tell them how wonderful you are. I got news for you. They don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about their company. They only care about what you can do for them, period. And if you can't answer it, you're in trouble.
Yeah. And it used to be, and if you all are digging this content so far, I mean, there are so much nuggets just in that segment alone. Drop a like, hit a comment, let us know where you're listening from. And then don't forget to subscribe as well. So, it used to be that real estate agents held all the information, and the consumers needed the agent to get access to that information. Well, now the tables have flipped. So now the consumer has all the information, and it's up to the agent to further demonstrate their value proposition, just as you stated. So, what are some of the projects that you have going on right now?
So I teach agents that particular process, right? How do you do that? Agents and lenders, right? So at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. So I'll actually give you one of the questions I get a lot is, okay, well, what's your stadium pitch, if you will? And so if I was in front of a crowd of people that I had the potential to change my life, here's what I'd say. Hey, there are 3 mistakes people that own real estate make that prevents them from having their home paid off in 7 to 10 years. And most importantly, from accumulating $1 million in cash from that home so it can be used for retirement. Now, bear in mind, that does not include the equity of your home. Now, if you'd like to see what I could do to help you accomplish that, visit, workwithbob.com. That's a false, a made up domain, and schedule a 15-minute call with me. Folks, if I had 15 or 50,000 people in front of me, and that's what I said to them, how many of them are going to take and schedule a call with me?
I would say there would be a lot of takers on that.
Right. And so that's what I do. I teach real estate agents and lenders how to actually do that, right? Because it's one thing to say it and it's another to perform it. What I teach real estate agents is everything emanates from the listings, right? So think of it this way. If you look at any company, any office, any branch, doesn't matter. Who are the top earners? Top 5, top 10, doesn't matter. They're always the listing agents. Now, the listing agents may have some buyer's agents that work for them, and they pay an override to the listing agent. So the listing agent is at home on Saturday and Sunday at night. Maybe they're doing a listing appointment. The buyer's agents are out there working, and then they pay the agent a referral fee for that. Wouldn't you rather be the listing agent? If the top earners in our business are listing agents, why are we teaching agents how to list? And that's what I do. I teach them how to list. Doesn't mean that I don't like buyers or that there's not a place for the buyers. But if it's okay with you, I'll take somebody and hire them who likes to do that, and then let them work on it, pay me a referral fee, an override, whatever you want to call it. And then if they do a great job, 12 months from now, I'll promote them to a listing agent. And then I'll teach them how to do exactly what I did, because now I have multiple streams of revenue from referral fee income. And so everything to me emanates from listings first, right? Where do we get our buyers from? So, well, the way that we do our listings and the way that we promote and market them, our average listing, and again, if you're in a small community, you're not going to hit these numbers, is about right now, probably 250 people per open house, right? When we say people, I should say buying units. A buying unit is this. If 4 people walk in, mom, dad, and 2 kids, is that 4 people or is that 1? Well, it's 1 buying unit.
Yeah.
That's important, right? Because are the kids going to buy a house? So we have 200 to 250 buying units come through a house. Now, in April 3rd of 2023, our largest open house was 1,224 people. From that open house, do you think we have many opportunities to list more properties and pick up buyers from 1,000, 1,200 people?
Yeah.
So the listing agent's job is pretty simple. Go out and list, and then let's teach them how to convert. And that's where I come in. I teach people how to do that, right? And we do that through different language, different strategies, different tools, different systems. But when I meet with an agent, it's got to be, I want to be a listing agent. So we work on transitioning them into a listings only business. And then as they have these listings and open houses, guess what it forces them to do? You're going to have to go out and hire a couple buyer's agents. Now, just in case you're wondering, like, oh my God, that's so hard. In today's real estate environment, folks, I can promise you, if you called up an agent doing 3, 4, 5 transactions a year and said, hey, Daniel, hey, I'm looking for an agent to come and work my open houses. On average, I have 200 people that come into it. Your job would be to convert that into business. Do you want to talk? I would suggest you have a lot of people who want to talk to you. Now, if you're listening to this and you're in a small market, 50,000 people, are you going to get 250 people in? No, you're not. But you're probably going to get 50 to 75. And so at the end of the day, our whole goal is very simple. You take listings. We teach buyer's agents how to, what we call, turn 1 into 5. I take 1 listing and my goal is to turn it into 5 more transactions. You see, most agents listening to this right now go, cool, I sold my listing, there's another closing. Well, you're shortchanging yourself. You should be saying, how many additional transactions did I get from that listing? And if the answer is 5, well, my gosh, if you did 10 listings a year, you got 60 transactions, right? The 10 listings and 50 more. So our goal should be to focus on getting 5. Well, what if you mess up, you only get 3? Oh, terrible day, right? 2. At the end of the day, it's our focus in real estate is on the wrong thing. It's like if we just focus on getting listings, teaching agents how to explain a value proposition to potential buyers and neighbors, right? Because when we have these big open houses and all these people are coming in, guess what the neighbors do? They're going, what is going on? What are these people doing? We had 56 neighbors come into that open house with 1,224 people. It looks like they will get 13 more listings from that. And the truth is, it was hard to convert because there were so many people, you didn't have time to really stop and talk. And so that's what our goal is we take and coach and teach agents on what to do, because it's a whole process of being able to take and provide value. If you start to focus on two things, listings, value, what benefit do I bring to a seller, to a buyer? When you can figure that out, now you've got something. You don't have to work so hard to talk to people. You naturally attract them. See, what happens is, in my belief, one of the biggest reasons real estate agents fail or don't make a lot of money in real estate, they keep jumping on every webinar, every class. We get how many emails a day of somebody selling me something. We just keep moving from different idea to different idea instead of saying, hey, I got one niche and this is what I'm going to do. You know, one of my agents, all he does, takes 3 to 5 listings a week. FSBO canceled, expired. Period. That's it. That's all he does. Spends no money. FSBO's cancels, expired. Well, he does My Leads Plus and a couple things like that, but that's it, right? So at the end of the day, he's completely focused on listings, and then buyer traffic and referral fee income comes from them working the open houses. Now, his job is to teach those open house agents how to do a better job of converting. That's really what his job is. List, teach conversion. And if he does that, he's got a great business, and he does have a great business. Here's the coolest part. We actually were at an event in Cabo about a year ago now. So on Monday, he took 2 listings. On Tuesday, he took 2 listings, sitting in a lounge chair. We have pictures of him sitting in a lounge chair, making calls to FSBO's cancels and expireds from the beach in Cabo with a Corona sitting next to him. Took 4 listings. By Wednesday night, had all the paperwork back. His assistant punched them all into MLS on Thursday morning, sitting on a beach in Cabo. That's what I teach people how to do. And because his value proposition is so overwhelming, people will listen. And that's the key. And so that's really what I do, is I spend my time coaching that. And it does attract agents to us. It does help me grow my organization, no question about it. Because I think agents are starving for information. And I also believe that it's critical in today's world that we teach them the right things, right? So think of it this way. You work for a small broker, big broker, small broker. The broker has their own agenda. Your team leader has their own agenda. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that they have their own agenda. Who's actually teaching you how to take and go out and build a business for your agenda? Because the reality of it is, if I was doing my job the right way, you'd probably learn and leave my company in a couple of years because there'd be better deals for you. But nobody does that. Think about the listing side of the business. Have you ever, because I've been doing this a long time, have you ever had a really good listing agent sit down and say, hey, Daniel, let me show you how I do this, man. Come on, I'm going to show you everything. Does that ever happen? No.
Not unless
they want to trade
one of the big conventions or something like that, where they just share like a couple of nuggets, but they don't share like the whole thing.
Right. Because they want to sell you something. Let's be honest. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, who's actually looking out for the individual agent? The truth is, the answer has always got to be the agent has to look out for themselves. You have to understand what's important for you. What is it that you want? Not what does your broker want? Not what does your team leader want? What do you want? And then what are they doing to help you get it? Right? So one of the questions when I talk to agent is, hey, who's coaching you? They go, I can't afford a coach. It's like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. Who do you go to when you say, hey, Daniel, I'm struggling? Who do you go to? My broker, my team lead, nobody, YouTube, whatever it is. To me, that's wrong. Why aren't we having somebody that can sit down and say, hey, Daniel, let me give you the straight truth here, man. You might not want to hear it, but I'll tell you what you need to hear. And for those listening, you're the number one secret to real estate. Let me give it to you. You might want to write this one down. It's really difficult, complex. So, pen and paper, you ready? Talk to 10 people a day about buying, selling, investing in real estate. That's the secret. So years ago, when I had my exit franchises, I used to have one of our trainers came in. He was a phone call guy, right? So all he did, cold call. He was trained by Mike Ferry. He was very good at what he did. He came into my market, worked with my agents, and they thought he was brilliant. I went to his market in Toronto and taught agents what I taught them, and they thought I was brilliant. But we come back into our own offices, and they were like, oh, Alex is brilliant. We're never the prophet in our own land. So at the end of the day, we've just got to teach people something real simple. So I had an agent come to me one day, he goes, I just can't get on the phone like that. I'm not a cold caller. I can't do that. He said, what do I do? I said, well, you got to talk to 10 people. He goes, well, I'm not sure how to do that. So I said, okay, cool. Let me do this. Go grab 25 business cards. He's like, all right, now what? We had a Circle K, which is a convenience store across the street from the office. And I said, go stand outside there, pass out your business card and say, hey, do you know anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? He went out and did that. I think he passed out 17 cards, if I remember. And he says, hey, I have one appointment. Now, is that the way I'd recommend most agents do that? No. Would I tell them something better to say? Yes. But at the end of the day, it really is that simple. We want to overcomplicate things. And then the other thing agents do, because we are bombarded with information, we keep moving from webinar to webinar to webinar to class to buy this, buy that, and we never implement any of it. We spend a ton of money buying. We spend a ton of time learning. We spend no time implementing. If you're listening to this, you know it's true. Just ask yourself, how many books have you bought that you didn't read? How many tapes or video courses did you buy that you didn't watch, right? And then, well, how many did you watch, but then you didn't implement? We all do it, so it's not like, ooh, I have some exclusive that it doesn't happen to me too. But part of my job is to stay abreast of what's going on, what's out there, what changes are going on, right? So as we do this call, AI is a big deal, and everybody's all gaga that AI is going to change the real estate business. I'm not really a buyer of that one. It'll help you do your job a little bit easier, but is it, people go, oh, AI will replace real estate agents. No, it won't. Here's the funny thing. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've been doing this long enough that when I started in real estate, there was no internet, right? We used to print out listings on dot matrix printers and tear them off. So that's how long I've been doing this. And when the internet started coming up and we were putting listings online, real estate agents were like frothing at the mouth going, oh my God, we're going to be replaced. They won't need us anymore. Well, the truth is what we found out since, they actually use agents, real estate agents more now, even though they have access to properties, information, everything, they use us for our expertise. They use us to negotiate. Why? Because if you're negotiating your own deal, you have emotions involved. That's another third party. So the funny thing is, back then we thought the internet was going to replace real estate agents. Little did we know that it created a bigger need. Now, the problem is we allowed companies like Zillow and all these other lead gen companies to come in and go, hey, we're going to take your listings, we're going to market them on the internet, and then you're going to pay me a fee for the leads that I generate using your listings. As a real estate agent in industry, we've got to look at that and go, boy, were we dumb. As a company, you got to go, boy, were they smart. But we ceded control of our data to an outside company that now charges us to use it to generate leads. And they're a multi-billion-dollar company funded by Wall Street. So you're competing for sure. But we allowed that to happen to our industry. And the reason that we did, because we go, I don't know how to do those things. My answer is go learn. But we allowed that to happen. And so the internet's changed things for us for sure. And generally not in a good way, because now we've ceded control to people. And so now they're always trying to sell us something, right? Now you have all these AI companies out there. So you're an AI certified real estate agent. Well, what does that mean? I know how to use ChatGPT, big deal. Can it help me do my job more efficiently? Sure. Is it going to go out and sell a house? No. Here's why you'll never replace a real estate agent. And I could say in my opinion, but I could almost tell you could take this to the bank. It's a fact. It's one word. It's liability. You can't get rid of liability in a real estate transaction through AI. You can't get rid of liability through technology, right? Remember a few years ago, Amazon started, hey, we'll deliver your package inside of your house so the porch pirates won't take the package. Well, somebody came along and said, hey, I could start a real estate company and we're going to do the same thing. Within, I think it was 10 days of that company announcing this is what they were doing, they had a listing and a woman got raped in the house. It was the end of that company. Technology will not replace because there's liability in there. AI will not replace a real estate agent because there's liability in the transactions. There's things that we know and we should perform to be able to do that. And AI is not going to replace that. So it can enhance what we do, and I'll start teaching classes on it, but it's not replacing. If agents want to be successful, it's real simple. Pick what you want to do, pick a niche, and become really good at it, and that's all you do. If I want to focus on listings, do I have to go out and advertise for lots of listings? I don't. FSBO canceled, expired. They're there. Now, long term, there's other strategies that I teach about how we build a database, target demographic farms, not geographic farms. I'm not a geographic farmer, if you will, meaning, hey, let me send, I live in a subdivision of 3,000 homes. Let me mail 3,000 pieces a month. I'm not real keen on that. There's a demographic out there that's responsible for 48% of every home that was sold in 2022. So call it just half. There's one demographic responsible for that. Is that an area that we should hit? I think so. And I can take and I'll know before they do that they're going to sell their house. And I can market to them in advance so that when the time comes, I know I'm the only agent that they'll call. That's working smart, not hard. I spend very little money to do it. We do spend money to do it, but it's comparatively, it's very small. And so we teach agents how to do those kinds of things to focus on who that is. It could be something as simple as, hey, you were a pharmacist in a past life, an accountant in a past life, whatever it was. Guess who your demographic should be? Pharmacists or accountants or whatever it is that you did, because you speak their language. You can relate to them. Well, guess what? You can target that stuff. You can target that with Facebook ads. This stuff is available, right? So at the end of the day, you pick a niche that you like. Maybe it's first-time home buyers. Guess what? Answer every question a first-time home buyer should answer and create videos around it. So that's the second thing. If you want to be successful in real estate, like if I had to start all over again from scratch, drop me out of a plane, hopefully give me a parachute, tell me to start all over again, I'm starting with video. I'll become the YouTube expert, the expert in your neighborhood, in your area on YouTube in under 60 days. And guess how much it costs to do YouTube? Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. And so it's really getting agents focused in on what it is that they want, right? Business planning. Oh, how boring. Well, dude, if you don't know how much money you want to make, I don't know what to tell you to do. I don't know how many transactions you need to do. So we start with some basic things like, tell me how much money you want to make. What's it cost to cover your bills? Well, then what's it cost to put your kids through college? And what's it cost to, put money away? How much will you pay in taxes on that? Well, we have to add all that up, and then that's the money that you need to make. Well, now we can put a plan together for that, not just, wake up every day and go, okay, what am I going to do? Because I think that's where agents fall off the table. And so what happens is, in order to look busy, like, oh, I really busted my butt today. You go into an office, you sit there, you talk to a bunch of the people around the office, you watch a few YouTube videos, you attend a webinar, and you go, whew, what a day. Oh, I'm exhausted. It was not a day of work. You did zero revenue producing activities. So when people tell me, oh, I have to have an office. No, you don't. You want to lose money? Have an office. Because you're going to go in there and you're going to take and get sidetracked, and people are going to talk to you, and you're going to talk to them, and then you're going to listen to them moaning, whining, and groaning about interest rates in the markets, and there's no inventory, and they're just going to drag you down. You need to be as far away from that as humanly possible, because it'll just suck you dry. You need to focus on revenue producing activities. And if I had to narrow it all down, like what would those be? Talk to 10 people. Keep this business very simple. Talk to 10 people. Here's I go, I don't have 10 people that I could talk to. So, gosh, if I stood outside that Circle K and said, hey, I work in the real estate and mortgage space, and I help people pay off their home in 7 to 10 years, would you want to know how to do that? How many of those, let's say 20 people walked out the door? How many people? Half of them are going to think I'm probably crazy, right? Like, what the hell scam is that? But 10 of them are going to talk to me, aren't they? I'm actually talking to 10 people, 10 appointments. Yeah, but Bob, they're not looking to sell or buy a house right now. They move every eight years. So let's just do the math, folks. If you have a database of 800 of those people, and they move every 8 years, 8 years from now, you're closing 100 transactions. Now, on average, they move every 8 years, which means you'll have movement before that. How big of a database do you need? And so at the end of the day, it just becomes, hey, how quickly could I get 800 people in there? Now, what if there are ways to improve the odds of them moving sooner? And there are ways to do that through data that I do. So again, I do own a software company, so it helps me that I have access to this data. But that's what I help agents with is, well, who are these people, and are they more likely to move than not? So at the end of the day, it's being smart about our business, but it all starts with two things. One, talk to 10 people a day, tell them why you're a benefit to being in their life, not just for closing, for my whole life. Because once a year, what we do, we sit down with the clients that we worked with and we update their debt-free plan. Because I was one of those guys that was, when I started in this, there was a great guy on the mortgage side, Tim Brahim, and it was like, no, you do these annual reviews on their loan. Well, it's kind of lame because it was like, all right, well, you got this rate and you got that, and the rates really haven't moved. So not a big deal. Now what I do is I do a debt-free review. Hey, Bob, you know what? The transmission went out. That threw me off, blah, 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 blah. But it gives me a real reason to meet with them and then update anything that they need. And then the next part is, right, we always ask for referrals. That's another one. So the way that we ask for referrals, and I've been to pretty much every guru's training there is on the planet in real estate. And the number was, hey, just ask for referrals. If I ask you as a real estate agent right now, how many people do you know looking to buy or sell today, right now, this minute? Your answer is like, well, not many. If I did, I'd be busier. Well, do you think they do? Like, that's not what they walk around thinking about, right? But when I ask for a referral, I go, hey, Daniel, is there anybody that you know that would like to be completely debt-free in the next 7 to 10 years? And you know what? I don't care if they bought a house yesterday. It doesn't matter to me. If I could help somebody in your family or friends or people at work be completely debt-free in 7 to 10 years, would it be okay if I talked to them? And guess what? They can hand me a list of a ton of people now that would love to be debt-free. I don't care if they have credit problems. I don't care about any of that, because guess what? I need to build a database just using that 800 number. I need to build a database of 800. Do you know how fast I can build a database of 800 people asking that question? And then guess what? So if they had credit problems, they're not ready to move, whatever it is, I got time to work on it, because I know at some point that database starts generating business for me. Well, we just focus on the short term, today. Guess what? FSBO canceled, expired. Demographic farming, that'll give you business today. Do the right thing in your database, build that database of people that you provide value to. You'll be wealthy beyond belief. That's really the key to what we do.
That is so awesome. I'm just like speechless right now, because there's so many great nuggets that you have shared today. But not only real estate agents, but also consumers that are looking, to be debt-free and things like that, which is the whole purpose of this podcast. And I know there's like multiple people like, Bob, how do we get a hold of you? So if people want to get in touch with you, Bob, how do they do that?
Probably the best way would be to go to my website, go in there and see what it is that I do, watch some of the videos. It's probably, if you add it all up, it might be an hour's worth of videos that I break down this stuff into more detail. And it's just www.realestateassetadvisors.org. We are an organization. What I teach people is how to become an asset advisor. If real estate is an asset, which it is, right? Everybody goes, well, what do you do? Right? And I do this. So if you're listening to this and at some point you attend a live training class that I do, I always go, hey guys, tell me what business you're in. What do you do? They go, I'm a real estate agent. It's like, wow, you and about 2 million other people. How exciting. Well, I'm a real estate asset advisor. What I do is I help people utilize real estate to get wealthy. Even if it's just their primary residence, I can turn them into a cash millionaire. Well, is that a better statement about what I do than that? So I created this organization. I certify agents in it. So they can go to realestateassetadvisors.org. Then I tell them through there where they can schedule a consultation with me and talk to me. And just, I schedule 15-minute consultations. Tell me about your business. Tell me what you're looking to do. Let's see if I can help you. If I can, great. If I can't, I'll tell you.
Okay.
But it is about having that knowledge to be able to do those things. And really, we've got to understand that the language that we use, the words that we use are important. So when somebody goes, what do you do? And you go, you're a real estate agent. What's the first thing that pops into people's mind? Crap, they're going to be hitting on me to buy or sell a house. Just that's the reputation we have.
Yeah.
Instead of saying that, hey, I'm a real estate asset advisor and I help people use real estate to become wealthy, I can actually take somebody who only has a principal residence and show them how to take and turn that principal residence into $1 million in cash in a retirement plan. The next logical question is going to be, well, how do you do that? Well, you know what? I'm on the elevator here. I don't have that much time. Give me about 15 minutes on a Zoom call. Here we go. And then I hold up. I don't carry around business cards. I have that. Tell them just scan this and you'll be able to schedule a call. Guess what? When they scan this, I have their cell phone number. So instead of passing out business cards that people tend to throw away, you can scan that card. I guess I got to hold it in front of like that. And now I have their cell phone number. So it's all these little things to think about, right? When we do an open house, same idea. We have a flyer that would take that particular house and let's say we could save them $300,000, whatever the number was. We have a QR code on there, so they could scan it. But the question would be is, hey, Daniel, what do you think of this house? Don't really like it. Hey, has anybody showed you how to take and buy a house in this price range and save $322,000 on it? No, they haven't. That's like, would you like me to show you how? Well, sure. Well, do me a favor, send me a text, right? And I'm going to send you an ebook and a video that I have on how to do it. And then if it makes sense to you, we can schedule a Zoom call and go through. Does that work for you? Well, yeah. Now I get a text message from them. Guess what I have? I have their cell phone. Not a made up one, not an email, mickey@mickeymouse.com, none of that, right? So again, it's thinking through these strategies. So if you go to Real Estate Advisors, and you could spell advisors SOR or SER, I have both domains, and just go to realestateassetadvisors.org and go through the process, listen to some of the things, you'll learn a bunch of things that'll help you just right out of the bat, or right off the bat.
Awesome. Bob, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show today. I'd love to have you back to share more knowledge if that's okay with you.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
That's
awesome.
Hey, my mission now, I'm a little bit older, right, is to really change the real estate business in that manner so that we start to teach real estate advisors to be of value to the community. Doesn't mean that helping them buy a house and helping them sell a house doesn't, so don't get all pissy about it, right? But it's got to be a lot more detailed than that. It's got to be better than that. And we have the ability to do that, right? If real estate's the number one asset people use to build wealth, that's the business we're in. So I'll come back anytime and talk about it.
That's awesome. So which gives you all more incentive to hit that like button and subscribe to the podcast. Till then, enjoy your week, and we will catch you next time around.
See you guys.
Holding my breath and I'm ready to go. I'm falling right in and I'm ready to go. I found what I want.